Gary's arrested where he land. A prince cast out makes his stand. From Chicago's shadow he did rise, with silken dreams beneath dark skies. A casino built where fortunes flow, to fuel the plans where power grows. Clan by clan and step by step, the city stirs from ancient depths. But shadows linger, secrets creep, and slumbering dead no longer sleep. The tremors blood with sorcery tied, revive the streets that once had died. Yet past and present intertwined, leave doubt and fear in every mind. As schemes unravel, blood will tell. Will Gary rise or sink to hell? Amidst the games, the webs, the lies.
Which brings us to here, now. This present moment for this group of coteries, this group of kindred, this group of minds in battle with themselves, the world around them, and the universe upon which their world stands. As Tremere, there are certain understandings, beliefs, some more factual than others, as to the operation and how they come into being, how they exist, the qualities and quantities of their internal communities, their mountains of secrets, their plateau of plateaus reaching ever higher, with the only abiding rule, as far as the public is concerned, and most familiar, is failure is not an option. Yet here they stand, several handfuls of feet from the budget motel there on Broadway. The night sky itself seeming several shades darker. The space in which they just inhabited filled with warnings, dread, and far too magic for a place where people are known to leave behind bodily fluids on a nightly basis. It goes without saying, but we will say it anyway. We'll ask the defining question of our time. What do people, what do?
Are we going alphabetical, anti-alphabetical, or whoever just feels it?
All of the above, whoever feels it predominantly, but putting it out there, as there weren't any questions, anything that needed to be wrapped up, as there were no doubts as to what was transpiring with the characters, you all literally just left the nest. That's the best way to describe it. Ringed round solidly, protecting itself and what lies within it from the outside world. It is layered upon layers of magic. The sort that you all recognize, not that fanciful with the extra K magics you've all heard of, but magic you all know to be as real as the principle of gravity.
Okay. Anand would kind of getting everybody together. Okay, so we all know what we felt there, right? The thing is, that is the sort of magic that we are missing at the Chantry House. And to get to that level that we were all feeling, it would take at least a year or more. So that leads me to believe that there is a I don't want to say rogue Tremere, building another small miniature chantry house, and that we just walked into that because the last time I was here at this place, it didn't feel like that. Granted, it's been a couple years, but it so whoever that magic belongs to is fairly powerful. It feels like, and I'm worried that they are building what they are building in that fucking hotel, and that they're picking off other Tremere for some god awful reason. So we're gonna need to figure that out, and quick.
Yeah, I agree. And it would be nice to go and look at the location which we saw in the vision regarding Sarah, because it would be nice to see. Maybe we'll get some leads there, and of course, what has happened to Sarah is important.
Does anybody else have anything that either contradicts that plan or anything they feel like they need to say? Because obviously, I know Marie, that was really hard on you, and I know you weren't feeling well in there because that magic was obviously attacking you. But besides that,
Perhaps we should find out who the hell has that level of power and either actively avoid them or find out who it is so we can mark them and keep them separate. Because whoever has that much power, we're not on that level and we shouldn't be around them if possible.
the whole thing with that is, and while I agree we should not attempt to cross them until we are ready, the point is they're actively hunting us in a way and trying to keep us from reestablishing what we need to reestablish. So yes, I agree. We need to figure out who the fuck they are so that we can handle them however they need to be handled.
But other than that, I think we should probably see if we need to start making some plans because we're spinning our wheels here, and that's not a fun thing.
Okay, so then the next step is to go to the bungalow where we saw Sarah and see if maybe they are, by small chance, still existing, and if not, take it from there and see what we can learn from there. And then we might need to go talk to either Rita or, yeah, probably Rita, and let her know that there is another player in town and see if she knows anything.
I could work with that.
All of this talk about Rita, Marie, brings several multiplying issues there. Several things you have not discussed with the coterie. Several things that you haven't bothered to bring up because you haven't had the opportunity to square your circle with Sarah. Several things that you know would probably be found at that bungalow. Question is, in this moment, as you all are once more trundling into Tamara's car, is it something that you are bringing to them or just waiting for them to find out?
Marie is going to do what she normally does and play it cool and pretend like she is at the same level of information as everyone else is.
Alrighty. So, luckily for you all, as the case may be, in the exploration of what you all felt, in the exploration of what you all shared, because that's the truth of it all. You all shared the residual emanations of what took place inside. Each of you, in your own way, internalizing and feeling that moment. Each of you feeling that cold dread that Sarah felt with whomever that shadowed individual was. You all felt the residual fear of whatever that message that Anand read carved into that table. You all felt the weight of those years of spellcraft being done, like many would every morning brush their teeth, shit, shower, shave, and prepare for their day. And once again, every night taking their vitamins and redoing the same steps of shit, showering, and shaving before bed, year in, year out, day after day, building it up till it was palpable along the skin. It changed the quality of the air. And unknown to you all, presently, it had been doing so for years. The rite of passage, the scary, creepy hotel parties that took place there at the budget motel. There's no stronger everyday magic than human emotionality. All of those parties, all of that excess, for good and for ill, rejoicing in the moment and carousing or commiserating over the past bad. All of that emotion, all of that spiritual resonance used as fuel for those layers and layers and layers of magic. And you felt it. As sure as you know how many fingers, toes, orifices, and appendages your body has. You felt it. It's like a signature. It changes over time, but it's still yours, and you still recognize it everywhere that it is. You all make your way from Broadway north and east over past the former housing of the depot as you all take Clay south until you're there, a stone's throw from Columbus Park, the basketball court, the Gary High School. It is a quiet ride. There are lots of considerations in the offing. There is quietude of four souls watching the world go by. And not that it is of any great import in the grand scheme of things, but, and for the record, who's actually driving?
That would be Tomato. Not saying that he wouldn't allow them to drive, but he wouldn't allow them to drive.
We like that sense of ownership. It is a very, very good thing, especially as you're easing down Clay, just there past 27th Avenue. 28th is there, the stop sign in the wrong position. It should be facing you on the left side of the road so that you can see it. There should be another just across 28th looking at you so that you can make sure that no one mistakes the stop sign for anything other than what it is. Yet, as always, with most of Gary's signs, they're on the wrong side of the road, in the wrong position, almost obfuscated purposefully so that either the police can generate revenue or it can keep the drivers and their passengers far safer so that they aren't accidentally jacked stopping in the wrong neighborhood, such as this. Now, here on the other side of the park, here on Clay, most of the homes are what would be considered lower middle class anywhere else in continental United States. In Gary, this is a upper middle class neighborhood. Here in Gary, what would be considered squat, fat homes of thin walls and borderline shotgun shacks are considered upper middle class. It wasn't always the case, and eventually, if there is any circulation of funds from the casino eventually through the normal average person, not directly connected to the casino, this will be once again. Presently, it is taking every ounce of effort and funds to keep the houses repaired, the lawns mowed, the roads mostly not one long series of potholes. And that money comes from the denizens that live in this area. That effort comes from the people that exist inside of the homes, most of which are rent to own, most of which are handed down, hand to hand. Many equally handed down squatter to squatter. And so as you make your way to the bungalow there on Willow Drive, just where Clay merges into Willow, is there anything that you all are discussing? And while that question hangs in the air, as you're nearly to your location, Tamara, would you be so kind as to roll your Wits Plus Drive?
So as we kind of drive, Anand is like, so I know we are going to go into this with all due caution, seeing as how what we felt at the hotel and if this person is involved still was what they did to Sarah. We're going to have to go into this with our heads on a swivel and be prepared because um, obviously we don't know what we're dealing with yet. And there is no splitting up. I don't even want to hear that suggestion of splitting up. We are to stick together because we cannot lose any more of us right now. But yes, we need to figure this out.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's best to stick together to when we, if we meet whatever cost it all.
When you were growing up, Tamara, when you and the family would have free time between school and job and endless road trips down south to see the family, not far from this park, really, because you all lived in Lake Station, which used to be a rich neighborhood, not just the upper middle class. It was a rich neighborhood of Gary. You lived about 4 blocks over from the Lake Station Boys and Girls Club there on 25th. You all would often take your dad's very small pontoon boat out along the river. And it shrunk over time, as all rivers do. But there was a river that ran not far from the park. Um, and your thoughts, as they are, as you work at the puzzle of where you formerly were and the puzzle of where you are and where you are heading, you incidentally take your eyes off the road for a quick second. Your mind turns back to knowing that not far from here there is an actual geographical boundary separating several portions of Gary that most people didn't realize was at one point as far apart, as far across as 75 feet. Now, not so much, but that's, global warming. That's erosion. The the little river now is more of a creek, but it's still there and it's still enough that there are several bridges across it. It's not as large as it once was, and you're sure no one else takes themselves on little pontoon boats up and down the river, especially because there's several locks in place just further north of where you are, and it's not as wide nor as deep as it once was, and those thoughts tumble and bombard upon themselves, and you continue on your way. You manage to look back toward the road and look back toward the present before you incidentally start to veer one way or the other. But it's just amazing how peaceful it is sometimes just being behind the wheel of a car. Sometimes it's just the quiet of a car and the hum of the road, the tires that sends you back through time. The bungalow there on Willow. The 10th one in, just before you get to the man-made path of ease across the railroad tracks. There's always that connotation, the wrong side of the tracks, and this is definitely the wrong side of the tracks. Even though they don't exist anymore, the tracks are still there, but the train is no longer ever even remotely in service. But this is definitively the wrong side of the tracks, even though anywhere else in the world it'd be prime property. Huge, long lawns leading right up to the waterways there on the opposite side. But now, not so much. So the bungalow it sits. Quiet little thing you wouldn't even realize was there. It's half as wide as the other houses next to it. It's just as tall, but it slopes back towards the waterway. You can almost hear now, gently, quickly racing along in the dark. And there it is, a hidden place that's publicly visible, easily accessible, but hidden because it's so far off the road that there is a small driveway. Do you pull into the drive or do you park on the street?
Mada's gonna park on the street. Just and are we closer to? Are we towards the middle of the block or the corner of the block?
The corner is a good ways away in both directions.
Okay. Um, he just pulls in parallel parks.
You guys are here. Did you guys grow up with siblings? Did you guys grow up in a place where there was a commodity on privacy? What this feels like. It looking on the space, looking at the distance from the road. It's like finding someone's journal, like finding their burn book. Whatever is inside was private for one or more reasons, and you can have your opinions on that, but it was clear that that person wanted that to be private. And here you all are.
All right, guys, we're here. Let's split up, gang.
I swear to God, I'm gonna punch you in your throat. What did I say?
Just try to cover more ground. That's all. Just trying to cover more ground.
Not that long of a driveway. It's only about 45 feet or 15 meters. Long enough for 2.5 cars side by side. The trees there along the side of the driveway towards the house, offering nothing but dark shadows moving gently in the wind. The grass, unlike the neighbors, naturally watered from the rain. It's a little browner than you would expect, so it looks a little bit lighter in the dark. Unlike the other homes nearby, with the sounds of people moving or settling in for the night, the residual scent of dinner being cooked, it's cold, dark. There aren't any signs of smoke from the chimney. There aren't any lights on. There aren't any lights lining the driveway towards the house. It's just there.
Is it too early for me to say that it's quiet? Too quiet?
Marie, the last time you were here, you, Rita, Sarah, and that sketchy poet guy were mapping out the various interconnectivity of the mini Hakata spread across the city. Not just the city, but the region. There is an enclave of them that exists just across the border, close enough that you all could smell them. At least that's what Sarah joked about. You could put your nose to use as a bloodhound. The problem with them being so close is that they often invaded the city. They often did their dirt here and fled back to Illinois. They often flew into town and stretched limos and SUVs, and sometimes some of them even flew into the airport and made their way to their meeting, many of which focus in and around what the depot is presently and what it once was. Luckily, the prince managed to forestall their attempt to put a blood trade processing plant back there at the depot, but just barely. There's a lot of money to be made in the blood trade. And unlike most plans, fucking Giovanni have their fingers shoved so far into the gullet of the blood trade that everyone who has fed on it has tasted the residuals from their fingers. So as you guys are approaching the house, is there anything else?
Yeah, given the police activity that it was a bit enormous, I would just like look around if there is some here. I know that they were mostly concentrated back at the campus, but just in case to look around if there are no shady individuals looking at us or like paying attention to what we're doing.
No, you guys are actually, because of the area, because of the quiet of the night, the closest source of entertainment are the 3 churches within a mile of the place. The closest source of extracurricular activity is the tap house over on Central, which is about 4 miles from here. There's no major public facing epicenter for anything here. It's easy enough to get over to Michigan. It's easy enough to get over to Liverpool. It's easy enough to get back to the expressway or to Central But presently, this is roughly flyover territory in terms of normal activity. It's quiet. It's secluded. It's the sort of place that would be perfect for a secret hideout. It's just perfect place to be a fallback location. It is perfectly close enough to get most places in Gary and get back here unnoticed. And it's the sort of place where secrets are held. So as you all take in the site of the bungalow, it looking exactly as it did in what it is that you experienced just a few hours earlier this evening. How do you guys get in?
Well, does anybody have a spare key since they've been here before, or am I going to have to break in again?
I think breaking in is probably for the best.
Well, we can try the door. It looks abandoned, so maybe it's, been broken long before. Or we can also look at the garage doors. They're always an easy way to access.
Is
And I,
there
of course,
only
would look for any magical traps and stuff like that, since we're
is
dealing
there
with blood magic.
okay? Is there only this one door, or is there another one? Maybe we can go in the back so that we're not so visible.
There are several, but you are down a small little driveway. So there are several doors. There's a front door, there's a back door, there's a back upper deck that has its own door.
How high is that one?
One story.
Does it have a cellar or basement door?
No. It is not a Chicago bungalow.
Dang
Uh,
it.
Marie will think for a moment and then, oh, sorry, and we'll walk over to a small can on the ground and look underneath it.
He's underneath there. Normally there's only one. Because normally Sarah keeps one on her. But there are two keys there.
Spare key to the back door and Sarah's key to the back door.
Well, that's not at all not ominous. Sorry, I'm a little shaky right now with all that's going on.
I don't know about you guys, but this place has hidden layer written all over it. I'd almost think it was like a, haven or something.
No, I'm just gonna
But that's an
pretend.
impossibility.
Just blink.
But that's an impossibility. Sarah shares a haven with Jacob.
I'm gonna let them get out first, do their thing, and then I'm gonna kind of get out and follow because I don't want to draw any real attention to Tamada.
So as you all make your way to the back door, key in hand, Marie, you have the key, so you're leading the way. Tell us what is normally here when you walk through the door, the back door. main entrance that Sarah uses to get to this stronghold, this control center. It's the place where informants, snitches, rats, those who have been inside of the structure of the Castiglione and Tories, those who were here, who were connected with the previous Giovanni and Duncerns throughout the area, those who incidentally and directly were connected with any movement of the Hakata that you all could twist, bend, break. That grandma was no grandma. That was the last person you all questioned here. She was a middle manager for a supply juice shop. It was a twofer. She was double dipping. She was providing donors outside of the usual method of going to Salacious or using a reputable blood trade representative to get your kicks. She was supplying donors for them to be trained or used, and she was also ensuring that her product was used directly from her hand. Double the pop, double the juice. She was a tough nut to break. Her grayish green eyes angrily staring at you and snarling. But that's old news.
As Marie unlocks the door, it would probably be a fairly run down place. Not in the sense that there's holes in the wall, mind you, but a place that hasn't received a lot of love. It was built for a small amount in probably the 50s or 60s and just hasn't really been maintained since then. There's a carpeted floor, mold growing on some of the walls, some very beaten up couches, just leading on inside a long hallway.
Normally, about this evening, if you and Sarah had returned here, normally about this time in the evening, you all made your way back here. It was with a source of information in tow, and someone that had been purchased, their loyalty information paid for through various means made available to you by from Rita, or it was someone that you all could break, someone that you all knew would not be making it further in life than this place. Backyard you all walked over houses the bones of a untold number of persons who never saw much beyond the carpeted kitchen of this place. Building is cold, and for those of you with a wits and awareness of 4 or higher, there is the scent of vitae clinging to the air. Old vitae. Kindred blood is already cold to begin with, but this is the sort of thing that you would inhale with it having sat around in the open, exposed ears. It's the sort of thing that is normally not possible for very long, unless, of course, you're dealing with very young, finally dead kindred. The sort of vitae sitting around you'd expect from a neonate, someone who was freshly killed into this kindred thing of yours within the last half decade.
You guys smell that? Smells like blood.
Yeah, I smell that.
Mm, let's tread lightly and watch where you step.
It's not a very large place, and there are only so many rooms that are actually light proof. So it doesn't take you all long to explore the width and breadth of it, both floors of the width and breadth of it. There are in the upper floor on what's the actual control center of the building, because you all notice even as you move through the space, the floors creak and groan with each step. So you would know, no matter where you are in the building, if someone else was in the home. The door itself clearly hasn't been oiled in a very long while, and so it protests with each use. And then the floor squeaks and groans and complains and cavorts with itself with each step. The sort of thing that happens when you get a group of old men who are trying to get up and out of chairs. There's a just lots of unnecessary noises from them and their bodies. And that's what this house does. Making your way upstairs into the second floor of the building, still with the scent of cold, dead kindred, vitae in the air, you all expect to find a gruesome scene. You all expect and are a little let down when room after room there is no such scene. But as you get to the control center of the space, there, drying out just like poor Norman Bates' old mother, is the desiccated remains of Sarah. On the walls all around her, various red marks on several pictures taken from the internet, someone's phone, someone's surveillance video, actual developed film. There's a map of Gary with several X's and locations all across it. There are on the table several additional clips for guns that you can't find. There are blades, there are pre-prepared ingredients to make Molotov cocktails, there are plans afoot. There are ropes, there are chains, and disconcertingly, there's also a pair of bats with railroad spikes driven through, be used as cudgels or, as Marino, enhanced interrogation tools. And while everyone else is looking for the guns to match the bullets on the table and in the clips, in the cartridges, you know that those were never to be fired. What actually those were for, they were poured down various ghouls and the occasionally caught kindred's gullet, and then they were heated up from the outside with the blowtorch that's in the closet that no one has seen as of yet, causing the bullets to go off inside the kindred or the ghoul. It's a good way to get people to talk. But everyone believes that death is the worst thing that can happen to you. You have witnessed that is not the case. Death is a mercy, especially in the holy war that Sarah waged in Rita's name across Gary into Illinois and as far south as Indianapolis. The war that she taught you or had begun to teach you.
Anand is taken aback because she has never been here before and did not know that this is what the fuck was going on. So as she walks into the room and sees all this, she just kind of stops. What in the actual fuck? What is all this shit? Is this what the fuck's going on? Oh, I cannot be part of this. What the hell?
I'm disappointed there's no handcuffs. I mean, I didn't know she was into all of this, but, she should have, been as salacious. But
Torture.
I'm going to the car.
That's what's going on here. Torture? Torturing who? And she starts looking at Jacob and Marie.
And Jacob would just go to examine the Sarah's remains or whatever's left of it,
So you have
to
nothing to
investigate.
say about all this shit?
Never been here. No idea about this.
Is this not normal for kindred?
No, on no planet is this normal. At all. This is some sick shit even for us. Who told you this was
Right.
normal?
Sarah did. We used to bring people here. Sometimes ghouls, sometimes other kindred. And, well, she gestures around.
Who else would knew about this place?
The lady at Salacious.
So this is what Rita meant by sicking Sarah on me if I didn't cooperate. Okay, it's making fucking sense now. It's not, but I'm making it make sense in my fucking head. Holy shit. So, and to answer your question, Jacob, the other person that would know that this exists is the person who did whatever that is to Sarah.
Inspecting Sarah's desiccating corpse. While most people will be caught up with how quickly the decomp happened, Jacob has been around enough deceased kindred, enough torpid kindred, to know the decomp is equal to approximately when she died, and if she had been left here exposed to the elements right where she is. So it's clear from her corpse that she's been deceased for some time. She's been in this kindred thing of yours for a while. The telling part is there aren't any puncture wounds, any fang marks, nor claw strikes. There is no physical sign of what put Sarah into this state. It's as if all of the vitae and the blood in her system was expelled through her very pores or simply evaporated inside of her being. A full post-mortem, there aren't many other details that you can pick up. So the question is, do you defile the dead and begin rummaging through her pockets?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mata looks out the window.
There are
Is there anything that he should be aware of?
Does he have auspics? So,
Sadly, no aspect.
no, it's a beautiful night in Gary. It's quiet, peaceful. If not for the desiccating corpse of your co member, it'd be a relatively perfect evening, even with the horror that you experienced earlier in the evening. It's one of those evenings where you sit on someone's deck or on someone's boat or in someone's gambling night at their palatial estate, smoke a cigar, have a few laughs, sneak off with one of the faculty members, and have your way with the blood in their body. It's that sort of night. It's so freaking chill But no, you're here in the back cave of your co-member, one of the foundational bases of what could be or should be the beginning of the pyramid of Gary. And as you rummage their pockets, Jacob, as you empty the contents therein, there are several key cards, several, to be exact, two different key fobs, one for a Nissan and another for a BMW. There are, strangely, what you're really looking for is you're rummaging through their pockets and checking their body. Every Tremere has the first ceremonial blade they were given. Typically, it's a fixed bladed knife or a dagger, sometimes a stiletto. Sometimes you've even seen younger, newer members to the Tremere being gifted gravity knives or switchblades or flip blades. There was one you saw have a bala song, but every Tremere carries it with you because that is the pathway to your true power. That is the pathway to all of the rituals that you have ever learned. Through the blood, there is power. Unlike that stupid line from Dracula, there are no lives in the blood. It's power. And the only way to get to that power is with your handy dandy people opener. Hers is missing.
Is there anything else, like something that she tried to hide?
There are several thumb drives, but that's about it. She doesn't carry any ID, which is interesting. She doesn't have any credit cards. If she was stopped, that would stand up. But there are handfuls of bills, some clearly for show, others for use.
And the car keys, have I ever seen her driving any cars, especially those that would connect to those keys?
Oh, Marie has, especially the Nissan. That's where she kept her battle kit, her duffel bag to initiate an operation.
I obviously show everything that I have found, and I would like, does anyone of you know anything about any of this?
She had a bag in there that she'd take with her if she was going out on an operation.
Do you guys think it would be worth going to the garage and seeing what's in there?
And yeah, I think the garage is a good place to check. I just wanted to ask Marie, do you like know about this place? Like, where did you hid your stuff here? Where did you keep it? Did you even keep something here, like, or only in the cars? Should we look somewhere for something? Maybe there were cameras here, or something you set up like a security system.
No, nothing like that. There's you get Sarah will report to Rita roughly once a week through various means. You very rarely in person, unless of course you all met here. But
Yeah, she'd sometimes meet Rita here, but there wasn't any kind of camera system or hidden stash or anything. But even then, she talks to her like once a week, I think. That's about it.
then go to the garage, I guess.
Marder really looks like he's watching his step because he doesn't want to step in any puddles or anything.
It's not the puddles you have to worry about. This was a Tremere fallback. Why don't you all didn't feel any tingling along the skin. You all did not bother to check. Because not every ward has an immediate response. Not every ward causes those who cross it pain. Some wards, some circles of protection, some home Tremere defense mechanisms are perfectly silent.
Anand would have been looking
Oh,
for
it's too late
magic.
to check for them now.
Sorry, I lost that.
It's too late to check for them now.
Not if they're actually there. Finding them doesn't change the fact whether you tripped them or not. What are you saying, Anand?
That's what, after she kind of pulls herself together from the rising panic in her system about all of this, that would have been her focus, starting to look for wards in magic to see if either Syra left them or this other entity would have set some sort of trap to let them know that their crime scene has been discovered.
Um, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus blood sorcery for those of you who are actually looking for the wards? And Tamada, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your charisma plus status for me, please? So, several things happen at once, as they always do. As you all are beginning to, fuck, wait, we're in the middle of a Tremere secret location. What would I do to keep my secret fuck, god damn it. Son of a bitch. God, stupid son of a wards, i.e. Tremere 103. Not quite 101, but pretty close. And you all start scanning for wards. You start, where would they normally be? They normally be at the doorways or the entrance points. They normally be, and as you find one, which leads to the next, which leads to the next, it's not just a ward on the room you're in. You didn't expect it to be on the room you're in. This is the center. This is the headquarters. This is the brain of the operation. Her hit list is on the wall. Her map of operation. This, no, there's a ward on this room. There's another at the entrance of each of the rooms on this floor. And you begin to have a sinking suspicion that the house, creaking and groaning and responding like an old man in pain, isn't just A turn of a phrase. It's an audible alarm, matching the inaudible warding spell and ritual carried out so that if someone entered, the person who placed the ward would be notified. Thought settles in as Anand and Jacob find the ward and the path of entrance that is used it's like a early warning system. With each room getting closer and closer to the brain of the operation, the more sensitive the ward is, and it would let the person who put them in place know exactly where in the house you all are. They win. Tamada, you don't normally carry a phone publicly. You have it, but it's typically on silent. There's only like 5 people who know the actual number instead of the app that you have that dials from random numbers, so no one knows exactly what your number is. They all come to the phone, but no one, a very few select individuals actually have the direct number. It's not from one of the apps. It is the phone that vibrates to life in your pocket. Of those 5 people, there are 2 you hope won't actually be calling you. Unfortunately for you, your hope, like your prayers, are rarely answered. Looking at the caller ID with the sense of dread that inspires as the number rings and rings. The question is, do you answer?
Curses under his breath. Kind of gives everyone a hand gesture to let them know the phone's ringing, and then he answers it. Oh, hello.
Motto being, the motto being, how are you? Says Michael Dubiert.
Been better. Been better.
I could imagine. Now, I really, really hope that Miss Green's little protege is going to fail. But I heard some unsettling news that you might be connected with them in that sucker's bed over there in Gary. Is that the case?
That's all I got, to be honest with you.
Damn shame. If I were you, I'd get about 150 feet from wherever they are right now. There is a alert going countywide about a threat to the pyramid. I suspect Rita and her little goon squad of wannabe Tremere are probably heading towards wherever that alert is coming from right about now. So if you are at the center of that alert, as I suspect Miss Green's little protege should be, because you know Miss Green is always putting her nose and her body in places that they shouldn't be. You wouldn't believe the things I heard about how limber she is for how short she is. But if I were you, and I'm not, thankfully I'm far more handsome, I wouldn't be anywhere near them because after all, you still owe me, and I want to collect on my debt someday. So if I were you, I'd be a minimum of 150 feet from them because there's a angry hornet's nest of very sapphic savages who happen to know a little blood sorcery, I suppose, heading in that direction to get their lick back for whatever it is that I'm sure Miss Green's protege has got herself involved with.
I could definitely tell you that which her protege got involved with is getting real deep, but I am going to go ahead and skedaddle if you don't mind.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
no, I don't want to hold you up. You aren't in the middle of nothing, are you?
uh, you could say that. You could definitely say that.
Okay, good deal. I will. I'll see you at the next check-in when you have to go report to DeSable.
Definitely,
We got
definitely.
some things to discuss.
Well,
Click.
that sounds ominous. He puts the phone back in his pocket. We gotta go like now.
You think?
He says as he's walking towards the door.
And I'm looking at all the
Does
Molotovs.
anybody have heightened senses?
I do. Yeah. It's not
Hmm.
running, but I have it.
Oh, okay. So even without it warning, you can gauge the tenor, if not the exact words, of the other side of that phone call.
You know how much I fucking hate that guy. I hate him. But he can fuck all the way
We
off.
triggered something, and they're sending the people out for us. We gotta go now.
If it's Rita, though, we made a
Go
deal
grab
with
what you
Rita,
can.
remember?
Yeah, I'm not gonna take that chance. I'll be in the car.
Oh, you heard the man. Trouble's on its way, so let's get the fuck out of here. Renan's gonna grab. Is it like the hit list? Is it like a paper list that's on a wall pinned somewhere, or is there like pictures or what?
There are pictures, handwritten notes, several marker writings on the actual wall itself. The entirety of this room is the brain of the operation, the operations that she's been launching. It is roughly 5 years of stalking, tracking, coercion, and worse. It's not quite the level that you'd have with a federal strike team or task force, but it is very, very close. You know for a fact, based on Marie's conversation, that there were at least 4 people involved with gathering the data here, potentially more. And it's all over the walls, it's all over the table, it's all over the map that's on the center table there. There, things that were just cast off or knocked off the table when they were of no use, and notes torn and dropped where they were.
I snap as many pictures as I can. Stick the phone in my pocket. Everybody out. And I light one of the Molotovs and tip several other ones over and get the fuck out.
Okay. Fire has its uses. Fire cleanses, purifies, warms, cooks. Fire brings with it so many positives, and it also brings with it almost the same number of exponential negatives. Destruction, terror. It can't even be quantified as an act of God by most insurance companies. So they will investigate. They will snoop. They will pry. They will turn a business's or a person's life inside out in pursuit that initiating spark. And it could be wiring, it could be lightning, it could be fireworks, it could be gunshots. Whatever it is, they're going to get to the bottom of it and see if they can blame anyone and everyone but themselves as responsible so that they don't have to pay. You all don't have to worry about that because this is not your home. You don't have to worry about that because there's no connective tissue to it. You don't have to worry about that because you've never killed a being inside this place. You didn't leave any DNA of any sort, even the supernatural vitae left clinging to the air. None of that is your doing. But Marie, is there anything you'd like to inform them as the Molotov gets lit and the others are knocked over with it left to catch and cause the fire to spread?
I probably should have mentioned this before, but there is a lady in the back.
Lady in the back of what?
She points at the building. Sarah said she was quite hard to break, so she was still working on her, last I checked.
Well, that's not my problem now, is it? What we are
That's
trying to
fair, I
do
suppose.
is get out of here. And if we can trip Rita up and make them focus on something else that's not us as we get away, then that's perfectly fine to me. Let's do that.
Jacob, with Samana being the first out the door, are you following or are you sticking with Anand and Marie?
No, I definitely would stick to hear that happened and to see a little bit of fire light up.
Lure of flame, the kiss of death, the spark of life. It is a wondrous thing. It's not quite as peaceful nor relaxing as water, but it stirs the heart, it fires the imagination, and it holds the attention. So as that yellowish red demon erupts, begins eating away at the stuffed bit of t-shirt and cotton inside that bottle, the air only furthering its ignition. There's something beautiful about the fear that begins gnawing on your spine as you watch it. There's something far too poetic in the way that it dances and moves with a mind of its own.
Randomly, is there a way to grab whatever this woman is on the way out? Like, are they bound somewhere or hidden somewhere? Where are they?
He pointed. Unfortunately, the garage is attached to the house. Unfortunately, with the way that you know this building is as old as almost every fucking thing else in Gary, it's a foregone conclusion that they will die screaming without ever being able to open their mouths. The fire's going to eat the oxygen. Fire's going to eat the building. And while as a bungalow, you'd think that the brick would protect. No, the brick turns it into an oven for everything inside of it. And the wood paneling on the back of the building connected to the garage will cause it to go up as if it's a firework. All of the air gone in a moment. The car inside, that extra added razzle dazzle of a sparkler on a dark summer night. What you all don't realize is that the old woman that Sarah couldn't break was in fact Kindred, and is staked with an IV so that she could experience the pain that comes with being in almost torpor but not being able to die. You don't disappear as long as you receive sustenance and you receive blood. You don't disappear into torpor. You are still present. You are still cognizant. You are still eyes open, watching as dust falls on your eye. You are still eyes open, able to taste as bugs crawl in your mouth, but there's nothing you can do. You are frozen, aware. Your eyes, your ears, your nose, and your greatest sensory organ possible, your skin, able to send hundreds of bits of data to you that you cannot do anything with. So as you all make it to Tamada's car, and you understand that that person is there in the garage going up, you are aware that they are able to feel the heat. They are able to feel the absence of air they no longer need. They are able to feel and see the fire rushing towards them. And there's nothing they can do, not even the cathartic release of screaming or crying for help.
So who exactly was this person, Mary?
No
That is
idea.
definitely a drive and talk situation. Because we need to be the
It,
fuck out of here.
Yeah.
She often threw around the word with people she brought in. Uh, like that old Greek god, the Hecate. I don't know what she meant by it.
Oh, Tamada's driving away. In case it's not known.
Yeah. Do you have the fuel conserving sensor in your vehicle? Like it lets you know when you're getting the maximized miles per gallon.
Yes, he would have that. Wouldn't really care enough to turn it off either.
He absolutely notices it over the course of him driving his car, as per usual. You should be right at 26.5 miles per gallon. That's where you normally stay. The only time that that changes is if you have more people in the car, if you have more weight in the car, if you're doing less highway miles, those things changes it a little. But as you take off, now the question is, when you do take off, when you do leave the area, do you continue southwest along Willow until it merges onto State, or do you turn around and head northeast along Willow till it turns into Clay?
He will stay on the south part because he doesn't want to do anything that would slow him down from getting out of this area.
Okay. And you're heading back to the school. You're heading to your haven at the school. You're heading to Salacious. You're heading somewhere else.
Right now, he's going to hit the highway and then drive down for about 20, 30 miles, letting everyone kind of speak and discuss. And then he's going to double back and head towards the Chantry House at the school ground. Reason being is because we don't know that area, the haven is not quite secure yet. And when this conversation, he would feel rather uncomfortable about having in an area that's not secured.
So you circle down southwest along Willow, upstate, and back over to back to Clay, and then up on the up across Central back onto the 9094. Now, do
Yes.
you take the turn off and merge on the 65, or do you just stay on the 9094 and head towards, well, like a better phrase, head towards Chicago? Because, 9094 here turns into the 294, and you can take that north in through the south suburbs and up into Chicago, or you can take it all the way over to 57.
No, he's definitely going to drive to roughly about the area before it hits Illinois, and then he turns around. He's gonna stay within Gary, just kind of driving towards the outskirts and then going back around. Just basically to
Okay, so
kill
he's in.
time so that this conversation can be aired out in a safe area before going back to the Chantry House.
Okay, 1994 over to Calumet down to Joliet, and then back over to 53 and up to the camp. Good deal.
Yes.
It's a good, long, easy highway drive. You don't have many stops. You don't have much traffic along that way, and it gives you guys the opportunity of being nice and peacefully together in the vehicle, having a conversation.
So I'm starting to
So
see why Rita thought she was going to be the regent, and I'm not a fan of her methods and what she had you doing, Marie, not realizing, well, you're new, so it would be easy for her to manipulate you, and that's fine, but I don't like the fact that she had Sarah involved in it and that it was this fucking violent. What was it that she was trying to get out of these people? I don't understand. I'll have to look at what I found more in detail,
I
but
mean, I'm fairly certain it was some kind of information, but I didn't understand a lot of the specifics. I'm sorry.
so basically you were just muscle. That's what they were using you for.
Uh,
Not close enough to tell you anything, but good enough.
I mean, I also have a medical license. I have access to certain prescription drugs and certain blood analysis equipment in my clinic. That's kind of how I met Sarah, actually. She came in posing as a Fed.
And suckered you in. Wow. Wow. It's weird because she seemed so fucking innocent every time I talked to her before that. So soft and unassuming. But then she was doing this.
it's the unassuming ones that get you.
I mean, she seemed nice enough to me. I just thought this is what all kindred were like.
No. Most kindred just want to live their fucking unlife and have their and survive their nights. It's rare unless you're kind of forced into it to be sucked into this kind of weird ass Machiavellian scheme shit. And unfortunately, a lot of the times it's Toreador and Tremere that get sucked into Machiavellian schemes. It's the quest for fucking knowledge, apparently, that causes us to do stupid shit like this. But
Forget the old ones. The old ones always are into this old Machiavellian shit.
the thing is now we need to know whether we're going to tell Rita that we know or we are going to pretend we know nothing and see what they do first. Because apparently, like I said,
Hear
we're
what
all
I
option
mean,
supposed to be
B?
working together, but
I mean, she talked to Sarah fairly regularly. I'm sure she'll notice if Sarah doesn't phone her in like a few days, I'd assume.
no, that's the thing. That phone call that Tamana got was somebody warning us that I'm assuming Rita was on her way to where we were, which is why we left.
Yeah, it was Michael Bean. And he was letting us know that basically it was all hands on deck by Rita and whoever's going to show up there. And he tended to, you were great. He said that he thought that, that Miss Green Chowder should be the star of the show. I didn't think it should go that direction. So that's why we left.
That old
Right.
fuck is an asshole any fucking way. He's just mad that Hess got over on him and wasn't being punished well enough for him. That's what the fuck his problem is. But that's neither here nor there. He's not here right now. We need to focus on what we need to do. And what we need to do is figure out, like I said, whether we're going to tip our hand and let Rita know what we just saw or keep it under the vest and see what she does first while still trying to
I
get our
say
shit back
B.
together.
Say B. I don't like people knowing what we know before we got a plan to counter it. It's me, but I don't want her knowing that we know what she did before we already have a plan B in place.
There's also the fact of this person that did this in the first place. The mysterious figure that killed Sarah and left me a message.
As we know, it could be Rita, just knowing what we did last summer. So
No, the
we need to
voice was
find out who
male
that is.
in that memory. The memory and replay, the voice was male. But
Yes,
now I'm
but she's kind of an asshole. I don't like her, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, so again, Mary, you said that the other person that knew about this location was a lady, the British lady from the tattoo parlor? Or who did you say also knew about this place? You mentioned someone.
Uh, I believe she said Rita, which is the lady that we met in Salacious in the back room, who foisted our cooperation
But it was
and
only the
foisted her
three of you?
control on us.
Was there only three of you? Or someone else knew about this place? I don't think that Rita would kill Sarah. So if someone else knew about this place, it will obviously were not Hekata, since they didn't take one of their own. They didn't release them. So this is obvious. That must have been someone who knew about this place, and so maybe Mary, you have some leads.
Well, whoever killed her expunged all her blood. That's more of a Tremere thing. That lowers the amount of possible people. And the only male Tremere that I know that's still in the city are, well, rather powerful. So we need a little bit more before we attempt to do something about it.
I mean, Marley knew about this place as well.
Who knew
Who's
about this
that?
place?
Uh, Marley Xavier Garvey Jr., that guy. I saw him poking around a few times.
I've never heard of that person before.
Yeah, we read across some installations.
The one who was with Rita, right? When we met her.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you want to take some time before we actually tell Rita about this? We still have her burner
Definitely.
phones. We can give her a call.
The thing with Marley is he's Nosferatu, not Tremere. The wards and
Oh,
other
so
things were Tremere made. I'm not ruling him out, but I'm just saying he's probably been more of a spy sort of thing. You know how the Nosferatu know everything about everybody and have secrets, but this feels in house. This feels like targeted and focused on us.
there is always a chance that the words that we triggered were actually set up by Rita to notify her about any, uh, you know, intrusion on the property, and whoever. So the chance of this you might want to consider. I'm not saying that this is the case because I do not know, but this is one of the possibilities.
I get that.
I agree with
Speaking of
that.
which, check if you could. I know I gave you all the phones that Rita wanted us to hold on to. I'm just a little paranoid right now. Just check and make sure there are no messages from Rita, please. And the burners that I gave you.
For sure, I would check the phone.
On, just a little warm. That's to be expected. You don't have it in a case or anything.
Come again, please.
It's just on and just a little
Oh,
warm to the touch, but that's to be expected. It's not in a case or anything.
okay. So yeah, there's nothing. So provided the
Might have
information
passes
that
his
we
phone to whoever's in the passenger seat because he's not going to take his eyes off the road.
think Anand is in a passenger seat, or is she not?
It's either Anon or Marie who was in the passenger seat. How do you guys sort that out? How do you sort who gets to ride shotgun?
Murray would defer to whoever went for the door first and let them have it.
So now Anand has both Tamara and her phone in her hands. Um, problem I'm having right now is phones, when you sit them down, ambient temperature, they're cold. And our body temperature is lower than normal, and this is warmer than body temperature. So something's going on with these phones.
Well,
Just
I had a problem with the GPS being on these phones and whether or not she just kind of, had the location on them, so she already knew we were there. So that's the reason why I'm thinking we shouldn't say anything one way or the other. Let her come to us with the information.
Fuck, fuck GPS.
I just thought I'd throw it out there.
I would go one step further. I would think about throwing the phones out. But this is ultimately for you to
Uh,
decide. Maybe you still want to go.
Ananda's just gonna start disassembling shit. Like she's taking the battery out, taking the SIM card out, and just like shutting shit down.
Wanda just kind of shakes his head and keep driving. I'm pretty sure if she had the GPS on, she already knows where we've been. But she may just not say anything.
Yeah, that's fine that she knew where we were and that she knew where we were up until a couple seconds ago. But that doesn't mean she gets to know where the fuck we're going.
That's fair.
It ultimately comes to what you want to decide to do. Do you want to have a conversation with her, or do you want to avoid this and wait for her to come? Obviously, I wouldn't like to have a phone that tracks my movements with me. Not only because of her, but
I think we should probably rip the band-aid off and go see what she's going to say. But we should do it in a place that's not as dangerous to us. I don't want her back at the Chantry house. I just don't trust her yet.
you can give her a call and try to figure out where she stands on a phone, not having to see her in person. Maybe you'll pick up if she's angry or she's sad. Obviously, it's hard over the phone, but it's a possibility. And you can arrange a meeting somewhere on a neutral ground, citing that there is a huge police activity and we should change our location instead of her club or whatever she's using. Can be something else because of the high police activity.
Okay, that works for me.
Don't question, guys, but that something's weird going on.
This is your first figuring that out? I've been telling you that all night. Like something weird has been
Uh,
going on. What do you mean specifically?
my gas is draining a lot faster than normal.
Is
Can I stick my head out of the window and see if we are leaving the trail of liquid behind us?
No, no, you're not. And the lovely stench from the few mills still in operation fill your lungs with that lovely Gary air that you know that you are still home. Not that you notice it as a local at this point. You're not a Gary native, but you're basically a Gary local after all the years you spent here. So the air quality doesn't really bother you as much as it would for someone who is not from the area. The black clouds of death just to your north, drifting out over the lake. Business as usual. And then you guys are, heading south and then back west and making your circuit.
so you're gonna need to pull over and get gas, or we're gonna need to find a spot to park for the night. Is that what you're saying?
I'm gonna get gas definitively, but just I don't know if it's Lux sorcery that's making me drain, but something's making me drain a lot faster than it should be.
I would like to check if I can see any wards. Obviously, from the back seat of the car, it's not so maybe effective, but I would like to check if there is some wards or some shit on the car or somewhere that can cause this. Simultaneously, we should choose a destination and start moving there just in case the car dies and we have
Well,
nowhere to stop
yes.
it.
We're gonna get gas and then we're gonna go and park some. We're gonna head to a destination.
Well, the locksmith will have been out at the Chantry House for the night. That's something also I need to get back to a landline and call the main Chantry House in Chicago so that I can get the information to pay for things and not have it come out of my fucking pocket.
Why your pocket? Tomato has pockets, and he has his hands shoved very deeply into the pockets of the faculty of the university.
Hey, we ain't talking about who getting what. Come on now.
That's true. You do got that university money. And this is a university site. So, you know.
Yeah, but you guys are the ones with money, though. I'm just a poor teacher, barely a crumb to eat.
Poor my ass. Literally riding around in. Use a lie, bro. Use a so lie.
I mean, even my home is just it's like three walls. I haven't afforded the fourth wall yet. But
So,
fine, I'll look into it.
final answer, I guess we're going back to the Chantry House because we feel safe there and we can mock, set up defenses, basically.
Well, in that case, just just knowing what you know about old Betsy here, you know for a fact you can make it from where you are to back to the Chantry House and do some driving around again tomorrow. The fact that it's eating gas is a rarity. You normally don't drive around with a car full of people, the four you have here. Though you have done it before and often enough before that you know approximately how many miles per gallon you should be getting. And you're not getting the miles per gallon that you would normally have or you normally drive around with because there's normally just you and maybe one other person. Your miles per gallon is almost absolutely always optimal. The fact that it is nowhere near optimal right now is a earworm at the back of your head constantly eating away with you. You know you have enough gas, but you're gonna run out of gas. You're gonna run out of gas. You're gonna run out of gas. You should get gas. Gas stations are deadly if you know if you're alone. You should get gas while you have more people in the car. You should get gas. It's that sort of niggling doubt that constantly eats away at you while you're driving. It's constantly, it's cheaper to get it, this late in the evening anyway. If you get it the first of the evening, you'll be paying premium cost. You should get gas. You should get gas. You should get gas. You should get gas.
He finds a well lit, decent gas station near the actual school where there's a lower chance of him getting robbed.
Why don't you want to, have that experience? In Gary, you get a chance to, you know, um, get dinner.
Mm, no, pass. Do that next time. Next time.
Hmm. So well lit and close. That puts you at the Golo over on Georgia. It is about 15, 16 minutes from the campus, due west across 35th Avenue. It is also one of the few that has good, clear lines of sight all the way around it. There's not a house nor an apartment building close enough that would impede your ability to peel out. Plus, the beautiful thing, as far as such things go, it is in fact a sit go. Or at least it was. Everyone still calls it the sit go.
That works. He goes, fills up his tank, then 15 minutes, goes to the actual Gentry house, and kind of looks around and see if is there any more cops around since it's late at night, or any less cops around because it's late at night.
In comparison, being as you typically only see them at night, there's no more visible police officers than usual. And you know what to say, the devil's in the details. So, as you all make it back after your gas trip due west across 35th to get gas at the Golo, what everyone still calls the Sitgo, there is there's a weight hanging over the coterie. There's a weight hanging over you all. You all have several defined pieces of the puzzle. Some of those defined pieces, well, without seeing the whole picture, could go anywhere. Several others don't seem to make sense inside of the puzzle that you all have. And as always, the question is, do you risk the safety of ignorance? Do you risk the danger of knowledge? There are several moving parts. There are several clearly outlined plots and plans and moves and counter moves having already been done. There are several landmines that you all can clearly see, plus God knows how many you can't. As you all settled into the chantry, you park your car in faculty parking, which is considerably closer than student parking. You make your way home to the chantry house, knowing that technically, with a little preparation, because after all, once you're inside, you can lock the door, no one else can get in behind you. You all could die for the day safely here. No one else can get in without breaking down the door. At least the risk in kindred society, there is safety in numbers. There's strength in numbers.
Unless someone
What is it that you
already.
all discuss?
I would check
What was
out.
that, Jacob?
I would check out if there are any traps made in our chantry, or if there is someone hiding there, because I cannot be sure that no one has sneaked in here or put some blood sorcery here while we were gone.
What is the half of your wits plus larceny?
What is the half of it?
Yes.
I'll give him
It's
8 if that's possible.
yeah. So it should be. Oh fuck! You have to help me out. It's overall 3. I think I don't know if you're like.
Always round down, except for in the cases of damage, then you round up in regards to what the character receives. 3 means that it is a half of one and a half, and it's rounded down. Plus Anand assisting Is anyone else beating the bushes, making sure the inside of the chantry is as safe as reasonably possible?
The model will.
Okay. That gives you a grand total of a half of 3. You all get inside. You start beating the bushes. You start making sure that the auxiliary rooms and the corners and the alcoves, and there's nothing mystical or magical. There's nothing that had been done to your space when you all left. Scouring your space and making sure that it is clear of any ne'er-do-well. Making sure that it is safe for you all, that no one is injured while you were gone. You find that for the first time in your existence as a Kindred, you are as positive as you possibly can be that you are safe. For now.
All right, Adnan, now would be a good time for maybe you can kind of, if you want, maybe reach out to Rita to see if she might have a clue as to what we did, or will she keep silent on it?
Once we've secured the place and made sure that it was okay, first call will be to the main chantry in Chicago to start the process of getting the banking information to be able to make purchases and get the chantry up and running again. Then I'll call Rita.
Reaching out via landline to the Hyde Park Library, the primary chantry of the Midwest. Your blood freezes in your already inert veins. Your cool blood becomes frozen. As Michael Dubier, the financial secretary of the primary chantry of the Midwest, answers. And as you prepare to launch into whatever it is that you're preparing to launch into, to convince him to get what it is that you need, want, and demand. It is 56 after the hour. And I want to thank you all for a lovely episode. I'll see you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
You're welcome.
Thank you and good night.
That was the first episode where we have not completely screwed the pooch.